Alright guys, we're going to finish off removing this cab finally. This is part 2. I'm removing the passenger side cab mounts. I removed the driver's side right before this, so I just recorded the passenger side obviously. Nothing went wrong removing these. If anything, it's just too much, like they're just too rusty. I had no other problems. Put the cab back on, we're going to put new parts, new bushings, new mounts, all that good stuff. So right here guys, I kept on checking underneath the truck. The reason being is because I don't have a transmission crossmember built yet, so I had the jack under the transmission holding up the pretty much the end of the tail shaft and all that good stuff. So I had to make sure that the cherry picker was clearing that. That way I could push that all the way through, and we were able to pick it up and not have it so much on my side, causing an imbalance. Just having it as much as I could forward in the truck. Guys, when we start to lift the cab off the frame, you can see the cab slide towards my dad's side. There's a lot of little things that I'll point out later in the video, but I just overlooked it. I was just more concentrated on, like, let's just get this cab off, like we're good to go, it's gonna be easy, real smooth. So as you can see, I'm holding it up right here. My dad had to get the strap just so I don't have to hold it, so we can focus on just going up and making sure it clears and get it off the frame. But we should have just put it down and reset, but we didn't. So right here, we were like, okay, we got the table out, we got a lot of room to pull this cab out, but we kept getting stuck on the 12 valve. And at the top right there, I was checking for the garage door sensor. I totally didn't even like remember that was there. So we had a lot of issues trying to squeeze by the ceiling, trying to squeeze by the motor. In the end, this became one of those things where everybody's like, yeah, this job should only take like 10 minutes, and ended up taking way longer than it was supposed to. At this point, me and my dad were just both getting frustrated. Cabs started going, it started leaning really forward. Cabs are obviously forward heavy because of that firewall and all those components and stuff, the dash. And at the beginning of the video, you guys can see and notice that I put the cherry picker too far back towards the back of the cab when it should have been as forward as possible towards the windshield. So again, I'm to blame for that. That was another mistake that I overlooked, that I wasn't thinking of. And I started to freak out a bit because the cab just kept on leaning really forward, just looking horrible. And then it finally clicked in my head. I started thinking instead of doing. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I put the engine hoist too far back. I need to move it forward. So after a bunch of like thinking and actually talking to my dad about it, he was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I finally was like, okay, let's just put it down, move it forward, reset, and try it again and do it the right way. And it ended up coming a lot smoother, as you guys can see right here. After making those small adjustments, it was a lot easier removing this cab. The only thing we had to worry about was the top clearance of that garage sensor, and the firewall was just getting a little bit caught up on the motor, but it was just really easy to just adjust and pass it by. At the same time, it was a big learning experience. I learned a lot from obviously the mistakes that you guys saw. So if you guys ever remove a cab or plan on to, don't make the same mistakes as me. I learned big time from them. Set the cab down, we used jacks. My dad actually made a box that we were gonna actually set the cab on, but we built it a little too high, so I just decided to set it down on jacks, which honestly did perfect. It was kind of sketchy, but you know, if you're on a budget or something like that, jacks work just fine.